on up, man. Mic up. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. We start and end on time. So if you slept in, well, that's, sorry, no raffle for you. Welcome back. Must be present to win. Badge raffle, check your badges, and let's give something cool away.
Thanks, Greg. Just to say also, for those of you good enough to sit up the front on your chair sitting, today's tickets are red in colour, not yellow. So the yellow ones from yesterday, forget about them. The red ones are your tickets for today. They will be appearing on chairs throughout the day. Pick them up, and the draw will be later. So now for the badge raffle. Number on the badge, as usual. The first prize is one complete Biz Ops boot camp by Joe Solari, who's speaking later. And that is for 469. Is 469 in the room? $469 going once, going twice. Sorry, 469, we're going to someone else. Number 185. Woo! Come on up, someone, get your name. And thank you for getting up early. So the second badge raffle this morning is AMS Analysis Marketing for one book by Jennifer Yanis. And that is number 121. Are you here? 121. Going once. Going twice. Shouldn't have had that extra margarita. $626. Oh dear.
Out drinking with 121.
626 going once, going twice.
Last night was too good.
175. Are you here? Yeah. Oh.
Ah!
175. Woo! Woo! Come up so we can get your name. Thank you.
Thanks, Erica and Jennifer, for managing the raffle, and thank you everyone who's donated prizes. A couple admin notes today. Lunch will be upstairs. It's on the conference. You paid for it as part of your conference fee. Upstairs, the Ponderosa room, which is overlooking the atrium, or the Hawthorne room, because they couldn't fit all of us in one room. So a Hawthorne room, if like Cozy Mystery wants to all get together in one place, take the Hawthorne room, romance, coordinate, and go enjoy lunch. It's going to be the deli tray, because that accommodated most of the food allergies, or the best part of the food allergies. And also, judging by the number of check-ins, we had 670 people check in. Brian Cohen is taking 30 of them to lunch. So that's why we opened it up for spouses. So that puts us down at about 640, and we paid for 700 and some. So if your spouse is here and they're available, we can handle about 20 some more. I hate seeing food go to waste, so please go in the back and eat your body weight in pastries as big as your face. But if your spouse is here and available, probably most of them will be able to join, not 600 worth, but 20 or 30 more, and we'll have the food available. Hawthorne room or Ponderosa. We'll go trooping up there around 11:30. For next year, Alex Newton did such a great job. He was a last-minute ad, and trying to wicker him in and get him 15 minutes on the schedule was the best we could do. Next year, he'll have a full 45 minutes or hour on stage. Whether you wanted to or not, Brian Meek's goal has been realized of making everyone a data geek. The math lab. Genre breakouts next year, we'll manage those. We're not going to have an author signing next year. I didn't like how it panned out this year, and I think the value of that, it would be good, but just not here. This is going to be for us, so that will give us a few extra hours, and what we're going to do is we'll manage genre breakouts a little bit better, get more of those. The panels, people really, really dug the genre panels. We'll do that. We'll also try to get AV in there. That was expensive. It costs a lot to put AV in the rooms. I know you had a hard time hearing in Silver City. We'll look into that and see what it is. I hope it doesn't change the cost of the tickets. We'll try to keep those around $129.99 for next year as well. But if we have to add $5 per person to get AV, I think that might be worth it. So. One of our guest speakers last year told an inspiring story of how he was still writing even though he's fighting cancer, and at that time was in remission and was just coming back through it with the last of his bone marrow transplants. This year he's not doing so well. It has come back with a vengeance. That's Brandon Barr. You'll see I posted in the Vegas Facebook group to stop by the Authors for Brandon Barr group, join that, take a look. There's a GoFundMe. But more importantly, Brandon doesn't really want that. What he wants is his books to sell and for his family to be taken care of. He's got a number of books. They're available. A lot of authors, high-speed authors, are pimping him out. I use that term. I don't mean it to denigrate anything. Are sharing his books and making them available, showing them to the fans and telling the story of how Brandon wrote incredible fantasy while fighting cancer to realize his dream of being an author, because he was still working full-time as well. So stop by there, join that group, and see if there's anything you can do. For today, we know that a lot of people write part-time. Your full-time gig is your day job. For Americans, that's what provides your health insurance. But your spending money, where does your spending money come from? It comes from your author business, selling books. And we want you to sell more books. And the way you can do that, how I know to do that, is nothing sells the first book like the second book. Nothing sells the last book like the next book. And this is something that Michael Ronn is going to talk to you about, is how you can have a full-time production and act like a full-time author beyond working yourselves to the bone while working full-time in another job. And a lot of people, you like your day job. I liked my day job too, just I was gone from home over 50% of my life. So it was time to leave that and be home more. So I call myself, since I'm doing pretty well in this gig, a stay-at-home sugar daddy. Welcome, Michael Ronn.
Good morning, everyone. Everybody got their coffee and got their tea and their beverage of choice. So as the 8 o'clock speaker, I have the incredible honor and privilege of either putting you back to sleep or waking you up. So thank you for being here. Quick show of hands in the audience. Where are my part-time writers? Meaning, oh wow, that's more than I thought. All right, so meaning you have a full-time job that pays the bills. Where are my full-time writers? All right, about what I thought. So, cool. So the title of my talk today is How to Be a Part-Time Writer with Full-Time Results. And in many respects, that is what I have done with my writing business. And a lot of people, when I talk to people and they hear about all the things that I'm doing, they automatically assume that I'm a full-time writer. And then I tell them I'm not, and they're like, huh? Hold on a second. What's going on here? Another question I have. Is there anyone here from Des Moines, Iowa? Originally? Okay, Brian. I got you, Brian. Yeah, I live in Des Moines, Iowa. I'm one of the cities, like one of 12 black people. It's cool. But I live in Iowa with my family, and I have managed to be a writer while doing a lot of different things. And so I want to give you a list of the things that I do on a daily basis. So I, just 2 weeks ago, published book number 41, which, thank you, 40 books over 5 years. So I consistently put out about 6 to 10 books per year, something like that. And I have a full-time job. So during the day, I work at a Fortune 100 insurance company that many of you in the room would recognize as an underwriting manager. gratifying work, but it is extremely overwhelming, and there are 10 people who depend on me every day to help them get through things. And I'm also responsible for running a business unit. And so that's a 40 to 50 hour a week job, and it can be very busy. And I also am, everyone here heard of the Alliance of Independent Authors? Ally? All right, Orna Ross and Ally. Great nonprofit organization for indie authors, one that I believe in very much. And I'm the U.S. ambassador, or one of the U.S. ambassadors for Ally. And so that has a lot of things that come with it. One of them is a podcast that I do every month called the Self-Publishing Questions Podcast. And I basically answer burning self-publishing questions as a service to Ally, and I do a number of things for them. I have another podcast called The Writer's Journey, and that's for my readers. And that's once a week for people that like my books. I wanted to give them something that they could use to engage with me a little bit more. And how many of you probably know me is I have a YouTube channel called Author Level Up, and I publish videos every week to help give back to the community because I've had wonderful mentors, and I want to pass some of the information that I'm learning along when I learn it. And that's not enough, because I'm a glutton for punishment. I'm also in law school classes in the evenings. So that comes a lot of reading, a lot of cases, and you guys know how that goes, right? And I would be remiss if I did not mention my beautiful wife and my beautiful 4-year-old daughter, who keeps me extremely busy with Disney princesses and all those other things. And last but not least, the thing that's eating me out of house and home right now, my pet rabbit. So those are all the things I'm involved in. And I was doing a dress rehearsal of this, and my wife was like, that's really exhausting. It's an exhausting list of things. And it never occurred to me until I was practicing for this rehearsal, yeah, that is kind of a lot. You know, that's just my personality. I'm always involved in a lot of things. And one of the mindset shifts that I want to give you today is I want to give you something different to think about, something that has changed things for me. And it's just one idea. What if, all my part-time writers out there, what if everything that you did today as a part-time writer was just practice for when you go full-time? What if everything that you're doing now is just practice? So you're learning how to manage your time, you're learning how to manage your money, you're learning how to manage your resources, so that when you get into a full-time position, when you're writing full-time, that's steady for you. It's steady. You can create a constant, consistent output of books, and you already know how to manage your time. That's something that would be pretty valuable as a full-time writer, right? Absolutely. So I'm here today to share 4 benefits, just things personally that I have learned and that I have done in my own writing that has helped me tremendously, and I would love to share those with you. And the benefits that you're going to get today is my part-time writers. I'm going to give you some golden nuggets that you can go back and think about that will help you with your productivity, because I'm not a best-selling author. I'm not a full-time writer yet, but one of the things that I've managed to do pretty well is learn how to be productive. I've learned how to do that pretty well, and so that's kind of my forte, and so I'm going to share that with you. So my full-time writers, you're still going to maybe pick up some things as well, because learning how to maximize your time is just as important when you're a full-time writer. So first thing I want to give you is mindset. Now, it's probably not a surprise that any of the speakers here at 20Books Vegas would stand up here on the stage and talk to you about how you have to get your mindset correct in order to be a writer. So there's one question I want to ask everyone in the room that I want you to think very long and hard about, because it's a question that not a lot of people think of. They think of it, but then they just kind of gloss over it. And that question is this: why are you a writer? Why are you a writer? It's such an important question, and finding that answer for myself has made so many things possible for me. So I can't answer that question for you. I can't tell you what your path up the mountain is, but I can tell you what my path is. 2 parts of why I became a writer. In 2012, I was out on a nice dinner with my wife, and later that night I fell ill with what I thought was food poisoning. Well, it was food poisoning, but it was a pretty bad case, and I was hospitalized. And I didn't leave the hospital for a month. Didn't leave for a month, and I actually could have died. In many respects, probably should not be on this stage talking to you. In fact, an article in the USA Today came out the week I got out of the hospital about a particular bacteria that I had, and I was killing people all over the country. And I remember being on that hospital bed, having these crazy morphine hallucinations. There were talking cheeseburgers in my room, and I couldn't eat solid food, and I kept thinking to myself, staring at a wall, what am I doing with my life? Because up until that point, I had been a sometime writer. I'd written a few things, but I wasn't really that serious about it. And having that experience of nearly dying put a motivation into me that I cannot describe to you. And I swore on that hospital bed that I would be a writer and that I would bend the universe around me in order to be successful. And that's exactly what I did when I got out of the hospital. And so I have learned part one of why I'm a writer, fear of death. Nothing motivates you like the fear of death, right? I'm not asking you all to go out and have a near-death experience, but that's my story. Part two of why I'm a writer is my mother and father divorced when I was a baby, so I never knew my biological father, and he wanted nothing to do with me. And throughout my life, I carried feelings of resentment and abandonment and just anger at my dad for just getting up and running away. And there was a lot of times where I wasn't okay. And when I got older and I had a family of my own, being a father was very important to me, and being a good father was very important to me. And so I decided to try to find my biological father just to understand. And, you know, searching for people who don't want to be found is pretty tough. You've got to hire firms, and you've got to hire investigators, and you've got to do paper trails and all that. Well, I found my father in 10 minutes. And you want to know how I found him? I found him on Facebook. And so I mustered up the courage. It took me several days to send him a message that said, "Hello, I am your son. I would like to connect with you. Let's have a chat." And he ignored me. You want to know how I know? Because Facebook Messenger doesn't lie, right? You send a message and the timestamp, you know. So my father abandoned me again. And you know what? I wasn't okay for a while. That was tough for me. It was extremely tough. And you know what got me out of it? Writing. Writing has got what got me out of it. Because writing is the way that I wrestle with problems that I'm dealing with in my life. And I know, without a shadow of a doubt, that that is what readers are doing too when they read books. They're wrestling with issues that they're having in their own lives. And so I know that when I write books, not only am I changing my own life, because look at where I am now compared to 5 years ago, but I'm impacting the lives of the people that I touch with my books and my podcast and my YouTube channel. That is why I'm a writer. And if I'm really honest, being a writer and giving back to the community and doing events like this is one way of counteracting that negative energy from the interaction that I felt with my father. That is my why of why I'm a writer. So why is that important if you're a part-time writer? Why is it important to know your why? Why am I up here on stage telling you this? Well, because when you know your why, when it's 2:30 in the morning and you're struggling to finish that manuscript, or you're at a coffee shop on a Saturday and you're feeling guilty about not being with your family, or you just don't know, you just feel like you're on the edge and you just feel like giving up, knowing your why is going to help you get through those times. Because I go to bed every night knowing exactly why I'm doing this. And that is incredibly important. And it's something that is overlooked, but it's something that is so foundational that I want all of you to think about that. That's tip number one that I have learned as to be successful as a part-time writer. Tip number two that I want to offer you is my secret sauce. And it's something I haven't talked about until recently. But Kevin Tumlinson let the cat out of the bagel, so to speak, because I was having a chat with him, and he asked a question on Facebook, and he asked, "I'm looking for a good Bluetooth keyboard to write on my phone with Scrivener," and he's like, "Can anyone recommend one?" And I said, "Yeah, I don't use a Bluetooth keyboard. I just use the keyboard on my phone." And then his head exploded, and we talked about it. But that is my secret. I write my novels on my cell phone. I write my novels on my cell phone. So let me talk about that, because a lot of people are usually surprised, because people usually jump to conclusions and think I write on a Bluetooth keyboard and all that. I learned to do this out of necessity, because this is what my schedule looks like every day. I wake up between 4:30 and 5 a.m. in the morning, and I'm either shooting YouTube videos or I'm writing. And then I do that for about 90 minutes, 2 hours, because everyone in the house is asleep. I don't have to worry about being interrupted. It's awesome. It's super quiet. And then I go to work. So from 7:30-ish to 5 o'clock at night, I'm at work. And when I'm at work, I got to be at work, right? We got to do our day jobs. And then when I get home, it's usually dinner time and time with my family. We're usually making Target runs, or we're going to walk around the neighborhood and have evening walks. And so family time is very important to me. And so it's only after my daughter goes to sleep, being a 4-year-old, she likes to try to stay up late when she can. And it's only after she goes to sleep that I can get some time to write. And sometimes that's not even time that I have to write, because as everyone in this room knows, you've got emails, you've got social media, you've got marketing, you've got all kinds of other things that eat away at your writing time. And so what could be maybe 2 hours of uninterrupted writing time for me is usually like 45 minutes. And so that's 45 minutes a day that I'm in front of my computer writing. All else is lost. And so I've learned when Scrivener iOS came out, I bought it on day one because it is the most fantastic thing that has ever happened to me in my writing business. I have written novels in the back seat of Uber cars. I've written novels while standing in checkout at the grocery store, at Costco at 6 o'clock on a Sunday when it's a madhouse and it takes forever to get seen. I've written novels when I was waiting to be seen by a doctor. I've written novels on the airplane, on public transportation, you name it. And it's 100 words here, it's 500 words there. It's those little streams add up. And the story that I love to tell is my wife loves shopping. She loves department stores and she loves to go and look at the clearance racks and all sorts of things. And I'm not a big shopper. It's just not my thing. And so what I do is I go and find a couch and I'll go sit on a couch, for an hour while she goes shopping, and I can get 1,000 words done. And so the mindset shift that I have had is before I would probably just watch YouTube videos or read a book or find something to do on my phone to not pay any attention at all to what's going on around me. But my mindset shift has been, how much can I write? I've got 5 minutes. I've got 15 minutes. I've got 20 minutes. How much can I get written? And you'll find, as I found, that all of those little times add up over the course of a day. It can mean the difference between a 0-word day and a 1,500-word day. It can mean the difference between a 1,500-word day and a 3,500-word day. I've done the math and I've done the data. Writing on my phone has allowed me to improve my writing productivity by 40%. And that 40% is time that I would not have been able to write otherwise. It's reclaimed time that I found in little pockets throughout the day that I didn't know that I had. And so I'm here to suggest to you all that perhaps writing on your phone, if you're a busy person, might be some way to get words in or do something that contributes to your writing and your output. It has done wonders for me. I owe a lot of what I've been able to do to the fact that I can write on my phone. So I know that there may be some people medically that may not be able to do it, or there may be other extenuating circumstances. There are alternatives. So dictation, there are other things that you can do to maximize the most of your writing time, because time is our most precious commodity. And there's only 3 things that you can do with time. You can add, edit, and delete. Right? So you can find time that you can add. You can look at the things that you're doing currently, and you can change and restructure things around, or you can certainly stop doing certain things. But as a part-time writer, time is your most precious thing. It's your most precious thing. Nothing will derail you like not having time to write. So that is the second tip that I would like to offer all of you. The third tip that I would like to offer ties into the time piece, and that is coming up with a way to beat writer's block. Who here suffers from writer's block? Oh, come on. You guys, I know every hand in this room probably will go up at some point. Writer's lazy. Well, there you go. There you go. Well, here's the thing about writer's block. I don't believe in writer's block in the traditional sense. I believe that there are only 3 root causes of writer's block. And I actually wrote a book on this that talks about a lot of stories that I talk about on this stage. But it's called Be a Writing Machine. And in that book, my goal is tackling writer's block. And I believe that there are only 3 major causes of writer's block. The first is outside events bearing down on you. The second is lack of inspiration and motivation. And the third is fear. So for the first, outside events, if you've got something going on in your life, if there's an illness or a loved one that you need to take care of, or there's something going on with your house, you need to take care of that first. That's the most important thing you can do. Take care of that first, because what I found is I'll sit down and try to write, and I can't write. Because the subconscious is funny like that. It will stop you from writing when it knows that you have other things that you need to be doing. So take care of the problems that you need to take care of. Take care of your families. Take care of yourself. And you will find, as I have found, that when you return to the page, the writer's block magically goes away. Second root cause of writer's block is lack of inspiration and motivation. And there are a lot of different strategies for this, but the key is to create a system that you can use to ensure that you're always creative, that you've got a steady stream of ideas coming in. So one of the ways that I do it is I keep what's called a sketchbook, and I like to people watch. So every time I'm out people watching or I hear an interesting conversation, I'll capture that. So it's there for me when I need it if I don't know what to write next. That has been something that has been very successful for me, because there's a lot of times when I come home and all I want to do is sit on my couch, grab a beer, watch television, and watch the last of my 2.5 brain cells wither away. Happens a lot, right? And so when you know what to write and you've got a safety net to fall back on, that's something that can help you tremendously and has helped me tremendously. My sketchbook has saved me many, many times when I didn't know what to write next, and it was 10:30 at night and I needed to go to bed. And the third one is fear. Fear is incredible. It's so multifaceted and it's so difficult sometimes to combat. And I'm here to tell you today that it is impossible, simply impossible, to conquer fear. You can never eliminate it from your life. And there's fear of so many different things. There's fear of inadequacy, fear of failure, fear of success, fear of the fact that your book's not going to sell, fear of the fact that the book that you have is selling is going to stop selling, and then what are you going to do? There's fear of so many different things. And what I have learned, and it's a bit of a cliche, but I believe it 100%, and that is everything you want is on the other side of fear. Everything. And when you can learn to live with it and learn to fight it and get comfortable with the fact that it's never going to go away, that's when things will start changing for you. So the best way I have learned to combat fear is to acknowledge it. Never ignore it. Never ignore it. Never let it get the best of you. What I've always done is I've always acknowledged it, acknowledged what it is and where it's coming from. And that takes the power away from the fear. Because you don't want the fear to have the power. Take the power away from the fear. You have the power. You control your own destiny. No one else does. Not other people that think your book is crap, or people that tell you what they think that you should do, or opinions of people who don't matter. None of that stuff matters. You are the creative director of your own career. All right? And never let anyone tell you otherwise. So figure out what the fear is, isolate it, and then find ways to combat it. Because that is the only way that you're going to be able to get away from it. Because here's the thing. With writer's block, all it takes is a bad bout of fear or writer's block one day to derail your entire word count for the whole day. Am I right? You've only got 45 minutes or an hour to write, and you're dealing with writer's block, and the next thing you know, that time flies by. And then it's Monday, and then Tuesday, you're feeling crappy about the day before, and so that makes it worse, and it turns into this snowball, and the next thing you know, an entire week passes by, and you have nothing to show for it. That can be detrimental to a part-time writer. And so that's one of the priorities that I would focus on if I were all of you in the audience, is finding ways to combat that fear. Because it will derail you. And if you can learn to live with it and coexist with it and learn how to disarm it when it comes, your idea of what's possible will start changing. It will start changing. Michael did that survey yesterday where he asked, how many of you think it's possible to do 100,000 words or $100,000 a month in sales? And like a couple people raised their hands. One person raised their hand back there. That's what you have to think of. Fear, it's a bitch, guys. It really is. It really is. But there are ways to deal with it. There are ways to deal with it. The next thing I want to offer to you is something that I have done that has been a game changer for me. And it's something that I wasn't ready for when someone told me 5 years ago. Somebody told me 5 years ago, Michael, if you are going to be a successful writer and you're going to get to the next level as an author, you need to build a team of people around you. I wasn't ready for that when I was aspiring writer. I was like, how am I going to build a team? I don't have any money. I don't have any money. What am I going to do? And I think a lot of people, when you think of outsourcing and you think of hiring help, a lot of people's mind goes to hiring that full-time employee. That's running before you can crawl. That's not what you have to do. Think about it like this. Are there things in your day that you either don't enjoy doing, you shouldn't be doing, or you do terribly? Those are things that would be good candidates for outsourcing. So I can give you some examples for me. I hate paperback formatting. I can't stand it. It drives me up the wall. If you told me that I had to do paperback formatting, I'd run out of the room. I don't enjoy it. And I did it for a long time, and it would take me 6 to 8 hours per book to format my paperbacks. And and then I would do them, and they would look bad, and the headers, the running headers would look bad. It just was terrible for me. And so then I tried to hire some people to do it, and that didn't quite work out, because then if you got a typo, then you got to pay them extra and all that stuff. And I learned when Vellum came out with paperback, Vellum 2.0, I bought that on day one. Can we get a round of applause for Vellum? Now I don't spend any time formatting my paperbacks. It takes me no time at all. One click, I have a good-looking paperback that I can send everywhere. It's awesome. It's like magic, right? So that's another way to think about it. Outsourcing or automating. Are there things that you can automate? So for better or worse, email drives most of my day. It drives my day when I'm at work, drives my day when I'm not at work. I don't necessarily like it, but I have to live with it. And so I've invested in email software that applies rules to emails that come in to help me triage that. So think about it like baby steps. Figure out what you can automate first, and then figure out, okay, what is it that I can give someone to help me with my writing business? And so I've learned you can do pay as you go services, one-time services on places like Upwork, or you can find a virtual assistant to help you with things that will help you make money. And it doesn't even have to be something related to writing. You can outsource things that give you time. So let me give you a classic example of something that you can do today to find more time to write. If you have a lawn and you own a home, there is probably a neighborhood kid you can pay $10, $15 to come cut your lawn. I have a big lawn. It takes me an hour and a half to mow it. I've got a neighborhood kid. I help him out. And when he's mowing the lawn, I can write. Right? So there are things that you can do to help create time, which is fantastic. And what I've started doing, and it's not something that I was able to do right away, is I've begun outsourcing my video and audio editing. So for my YouTube channel, I was spending 3 to 5 hours a week editing my videos, and that was eating too much into my writing time. And it was to the point where I either have to figure this out or I can't continue my channel. And so I made the decision to hire a video editor that I pay a few hours a week to do it for me. And he does it so much better than I do. So much better. My videos look so much better now because of him. And he helps me with that. So all I have to do is come up with the idea, shoot it, send it to him, and he takes care of the rest. Right? That's what this looks like. It doesn't have to be, I'm going to pay someone a full-time salary to do this. You can outsource tasks. Think about outsourcing tasks. And so that is something that has helped me, because now when I outsource my video editing, I can spend my time, that 3 to 5 hours a week, writing my next book, or I can spend it finding ideas for my next videos that's going to bring more people into my gravitational field, that's going to help me sell more books. So it's actually more expensive for me to do my video editing because it's costing me money. So outsource those tasks that are going to make you money. Don't outsource something that's not going to make you money, because then you'll run out of money. Don't do that. But are there things that you're doing every day that you shouldn't be doing, can't do, or don't do very well? And you might be surprised, and it's cheaper than you think. A lot of people think about the costs, but you would be surprised at some of the services that you can get from a virtual assistant or someone to help you with your WordPress or your website, whatever that looks like for you. Right? So those are the tips that I want to offer you. Those are things that I have learned in the last 5 years that have helped me. And I will tell you that it's a constant work in progress for me. Because as my daughter, as she got older, my schedule looked different. And so as she gets older, I'm going to have to continue to adjust and continue to figure out what it is that I need to be doing to maintain my writer business. And that's critically important to me, because all of us, we know that quantity and quality are equally important, right? Because consistency is the key. And so I urge all of you to find ways to create systems to protect your time, because your time is your most important, absolutely your most important commodity. I can't say that enough. I can't say it enough. And so some people think that, my focus is split a lot, but it's really not, because this is what I really want to be doing with my career. If I can substitute my full-time job with writing and doing things like this, then that's worth it for me. I'm giving back to the community, and so I couldn't be happier to do all the things that I'm doing. So for all of you that would like to follow me or learn more about me and some of the things that I'm doing, you can visit my website, authorlevelup.com. That's my YouTube. You can find links to my YouTube channel and my weekly videos and all the things that I do on a daily basis. So it has been my pleasure to be here, and thank you all very much. Okay. Well, we got some time for questions, so I'm happy to answer any questions that you all may have. All right, you can line up at the microphones. Yes.
Okay, you look like you're in really good shape. So, are you also including exercise with what you're doing? Because you're like totally busy. But you're like, you look like you're healthy.
That's my happy dance, by the way. Thank you very much. So this is a slimming blazer. But yes, I do have a gym membership, and my wife and I, health is a priority, right? Especially I had my near-death experience, and getting to the hospital or getting to the gym and eating right, I try to do my best. I can't sit here and tell you that I do the best at it, but I try. And finding that time to take care of yourself is important. And that's something I would definitely urge all of you to do. So thank you. All right, line of people over here.
Hi, and thank you for all of this. This is great. I'm wondering how much time you spend preparing for and completing a podcast before you hand it off to audio, and maybe just what goes into that, like preparing what you're writing or saying.
Absolutely. So my podcast, The Writer's Journey, it's a very short podcast. It's about 10 to 15 minutes a week, and it's the perspective to help my readers, right? So if you like my nonfiction or my fiction, and you want to know more about me when you get to the end of my book, hey, I got a podcast you can listen to every week, and it takes me, I script them out, so it probably takes me 30 to 45 minutes to write a script, and then if each episode is about 15 minutes, it takes me about 20 minutes to record. So very quick. Thank you.
You mentioned you had what you called your sketchbook. Is that a literal sketchbook?
Girl
Is that a literal sketchbook?
Oh, literal sketchbook? No, I call it a sketchbook. Some people could call it like a diary or a journal. I keep it in Evernote, and I've been actually doing this since high school. So I actually had physical notebooks that I would carry around in my back pocket. I went to a Boy Scout camp once, and then I forgot when I went swimming that I had it in my pocket, and so I had to go and dive in the lake and find it. It was terrible. But now I use Evernote, and it's fantastic. And it allows you to capture notes while you're on the go. I secretly record conversations sometimes that could end up in a novel. The jig is up when I'm in a coffee shop and I hear interesting stuff. And so I keep all bits and pieces, and I literally have thousands of pages of things that I've gathered over the years that really help me a lot. So
Thank you.
thank you. All right, we have a question over here.
So you mentioned finding strategies to overcome fear. Can you give an example? And please bare your soul.
All right. Thank you for the question. So examples to combat fear. I think what it boils down to is being at peace with yourself, being comfortable in your own skin. Because there's a lot of people that will tell you what they think that you should do. And there's no shortage of it. I talk all the time about how there's three kinds of advice. There's advice that's meant for you, there's advice that's not meant for you, and there's advice that you're not ready for yet. And so learn how to develop that BS detector. That's critically important because there's a lot of BS out there. And if you can do that and filter through some of that noise, that will help you with your fear. Because a lot of times when you hear advice, you start second guessing yourself, right? When you hear someone talk about their success and the things that they've done, you think back, oh crap, what am I doing here? And so that's one piece of advice that I would bare my soul to you, Rami, for doing that. So thank you. Next question.
Hello. You mentioned that you're not full-time yet. That seems to imply it's on the agenda. Have you set a definite point where you're going to say, okay, I'm going to do this and leave other things to themselves?
Absolutely. Yeah, I've set a soft deadline for myself. It's going to happen when it's the right time. If I'm going to go full-time, I want to stay full-time. And so my goal right now is to lay that foundation. And so if it takes me a few extra years, that's fine. That's fine. It's the key, I think, is just making sure I'm doing the right things. And so, like I said, using my time as a part-time writer as practice. so that I can get some things wrong. You know, I can fail. I can spend, you know, I can allocate my time this way and it doesn't quite work, and so then I can learn from that. And so then when I become a full-time writer, it's much easier.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, a question over here.
What software are you using for your podcast, and how do you know it's effective? Like the podcast is bringing in more audience.
Yeah, I use Libsyn. So Libsyn is the juggernaut of podcasting. The nice part about Libsyn is it gives you information on how many downloads you're getting every week. And so, you know, I'm fortunate enough to see my podcast get more downloads every week. So that's a good way of me knowing. But really, the podcast was a passion project. It was something that I did for my readers to let them know more about me. Because I think the problem we all have as writers is people get to the end of our book and they want to know more about us. But how do we engage with them and how do we create that touch point, so to speak? And so that's been an effective way for me to do that. So quick podcast, quick and dirty every week, makes it easy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How you're juggling both your kind of fiction brand and your nonfiction, and do you feel like they compete with each other, or do you feel like they kind of enhance each other?
I think they enhance and complement each other. I would say I have different pen names. So Michael Ronn is my fiction pen name, and then ML Ronn is my nonfiction pen name. And so I have the YouTube channel and all that stuff separate, but I'm not afraid to talk about my books on my YouTube channel. The crossover, it's pretty minimal, but it helps me because what I found is I can talk about what I'm doing and my process on my YouTube channel, and that people find a lot of value in that. And so I like to try to be as transparent as I can. So I like to believe that they complement each other. But yeah, there are some times where I have to make some decisions on, am I going to promote this fiction book? Am I going to promote this nonfiction book? And it's really just a balancing act that you learn over time. Thank you. All right, well, thank you all very much. It's been my pleasure.